Yeah, I'll see you all in hell, too. Remember that. Every one of you, I'll see you in hell.
In the quiet town of Pittsfield, Massachusetts, a series of events unfolded in 2011 that would leave the community shaken to its core. The gruesome discovery of 3 dismembered bodies in the nearby woods marked the beginning of a criminal case so horrifying that it would gain national attention.
Yeah, I'll see you all in hell, too. Remember that. Every one of you, I'll see you in hell.
The man at the center of this case was Kais Vivas, born Roy Gutfinski Jr., a figure whose terrifying appearance matched the brutality of his crimes. Vivas was not known just for his violent tendencies, but also for his chilling look. Horn-like subdermal implants, 666 tattooed above his eyebrows, and a self-identified persona as a vampire and Satanist. Vivas, along with 2 other men, Adam Lee Hall and David Chalu, became involved in one of Pittsfield's most heinous crimes. The 3 were implicated in the kidnapping and murder of David Glasser, Edward Frampton, and Robert Chadwell. Glasser was set to testify against Hall, a high-ranking member of the Hells Angel Motorcycle Club, in a separate assault case. To eliminate this threat, Hall, with the help of Vivas and Chalu, orchestrated the abduction and subsequent murder of Glasser and his 2 roommates. The men were last seen alive in their apartment on August 28, 2011. 2 weeks later, their dismembered bodies were found buried in a trench, a discovery that sent shockwaves throughout the community. Prosecutors described how Vivas and his accomplices carried out the murders with chilling precision, leaving no room for doubt about their guilt.
I told my lawyer what I've told you and others many times before. My hand was not in this, and I will not let this hand sell me my own hide at the price of my integrity. That I'd rather spend the rest of my life in prison and be able to face myself in the mirror at the end of the day and make that kind of deal.
When the time came for sentencing, the tension in the courtroom was palpable. The judge, stern and unyielding, delivered the verdict. 3 consecutive life terms in prison without the probability of parole. But it was Vivas' reaction that would leave a lasting impression.
Bodies. He offered me conspiracy after the fact, 7 years. I told my lawyer what I've told him and others many times before. My hand was not in this, and I will not let this hand sell me my own hide at the price of my integrity. That I'd rather spend the rest of my life in prison and be able to face myself in the mirror at the end of the day and make that kind of deal. Now here we are today, and he's asking for 3 consecutive life sentences with no parole. Let me make this clear one more time before I sit down. My hand was not in this, right? My hand wasn't in this. But if anybody thinks I'm going to hang my head today and beg for mercy, they're just as deluded in their thinking as that jury of my peers who convicted me of this. So, Your Honor, take your rubber stamp and do what you plan to do from the beginning. Justice was not served. I'm an innocent man. You condemn an innocent man, and I will heal this.
Then, in a final act of defiance that sent chills through the courtroom, Vivas turned to the judge and those gathered and spat out the words, "I'll see you all in hell."
Yeah, I'll see you all in hell, too. Remember that. Every one of you, I'll see you in hell.
This disturbing declaration was not just an expression of anger and frustration, but a reflection of the darkness that had consumed him.
You upon your oath say the defendant is guilty of murder in the 1st degree. So say you, Mr. Foreperson, was this the verdict of the jury? That this was committed with deliberate premeditation. So say you, Mr. Foreperson, was this the verdict of the jury?
Yeah, I'll see you all in hell, too. Remember that. Every one of you, I'll see you in hell.
While Kais Vivas refused to accept his guilt, claiming innocence even as he was sentenced to life in prison, the next gang leader took an entirely different approach, mocking the justice system by flashing victory signs during his sentencing. The crimes of George Gerald Thomas unfolded in Cape Town, South Africa, a city long troubled by gang violence. Thomas was a ruthless leader of the 28's gang, a subgroup within the infamous Numbers gang network. Thomas's gang was engaged in a deadly rivalry with the 26's gang, known as the Clever Kids. This gang war claimed many lives, including innocent bystanders caught in the crossfire. One of the most tragic incidents was the mistaken murder of Marvin Esterhaus, the brother of a gangster, which highlighted the indiscriminate violence that defined Thomas's reign. The 28th gang was fiercely loyal to Thomas, and their loyalty was evident during his trial. Over the 4-year trial period, the gang orchestrated a campaign of terror to protect their leader, murdering 12 state witnesses and attempting to kill 27 more.
In this particular case, we started some years ago, as you know. Now, the sentencing of George Thomas and his co-accused is proof that our integrated approach of the cluster can and does work.
This relentless intimidation created an atmosphere of fear, with witnesses knowing that testifying could be a death sentence. As one witness starkly put it, "If I talk, I will get shot." Despite the gang's relentless efforts to shield him, the overwhelming evidence against George Gerald Thomas left little room for doubt. Facing 52 charges, including 7 murders, 3 attempted murders, racketeering, and illegal possession of firearms, Thomas stood trial at the Western Cape High Court. When the moment of reckoning arrived, Thomas was found guilty of 57 out of over 150 charges. The judge handed down a sentence of 175 years in prison, ensuring that Thomas would spend the rest of his life behind bars. Instead of showing regret, Thomas displayed a huge grin and flashed a victory sign as the verdict was read, symbolizing his full embrace of his criminal identity.
Dit het echter verder gegaan deurdat jy, terwyl jy in
It
aanhouding
went further that while you were in custody, through your actions on those who testified against you, you sent a strong message that you won't be stopped through the law of the land. The message was also on members of the police that your power was stronger than previously thought.
aan lede van die polisie dat jou mag groter is as wat oorspronklik aanvaar was.
Defiantly, he stated that he had no regrets, saying, "I'm not regretting it because this is my whole life, the person that I am today." His words and actions in court highlighted his unrepentant nature and his belief that his violent life was justified. Our final case takes us to a Durham County courtroom, where there was neither sadness nor victory signs, just the stark realization of a man facing the consequences of his actions. Durham, North Carolina has long been scarred by gang violence, but the tragic death of 9-year-old Zion Person in August 2019 left an indelible mark on the community. Antonio Davenport, known on the streets as Lil Tony, stood before the judge, awaiting his sentence. At just 27 years old, Davenport had risen to prominence as a gang leader within the 8 Trey Gangster Crips, a violent street gang notorious for its ruthless activities. Davenport's life had been steeped in crime, from drug trafficking to gun violence, but it was the tragic death of 9-year-old Zion Person that brought him to this moment. August 18, 2019, Davenport and his associates mistook an SUV carrying Zion and his family for a rival gang's vehicle. In a senseless act of retaliation, they opened fire, killing Zion and wounding his 8-year-old cousin. The community was left in shock, and Davenport was eventually charged with first-degree murder, among other crimes. In the courtroom, the charges were read out in a list that seemed to stretch on endlessly. First-degree murder, felony conspiracy to commit murder, multiple counts of attempted first-degree murder, assault with a deadly weapon, and possession of a firearm by a felon. As the judge recounted Davenport's history, a string of violent offenses, domestic abuse cases, and repeated violations of pretrial release, the pictures of a dangerous, unrepentant criminal became clear.
Mr. Davenport, you are charged with first-degree murder of Zion Person on August 18, 2019, felony conspiracy to commit that murder. You are also charged with assault with a deadly weapon with intent to kill, inflicting serious injury, attempted first-degree murder on Xavier Holloway. You are also charged with 4 more counts of attempted first-degree murder on Zaya Holloway, Zakia Wilson, Danielle Ragland, Zanae White. You are charged with 2 counts of discharging a weapon into an occupied into a moving vehicle, inflicting serious bodily injury. 2 more counts of discharging a weapon into an occupied vehicle while it was in motion, and another count of discharging a weapon into an occupied dwelling. This is all from the same transaction, Your Honor. And finally, you're charged with possession of a firearm by a felon, and that you possessed a handgun when you've been convicted of second-degree burglary and felony larceny.
When the moment came for Davenport to be sentenced, there was no dramatic outburst, no plea for mercy. Davenport remained silent, seemingly resigned to his fate. The judge handed down a life sentence without the possibility of parole, ensuring that Davenport would spend the rest of his days behind bars. As we've witnessed today, even the most feared gang leaders cannot escape the long arm of justice. The courtroom becomes the final stage where their pasts catch up with them, and the facade of power crumbles under the weight of their crimes. Thank you for watching. If you found this video compelling, please like, comment, and subscribe for more insights into the world of crime and justice. Share your thoughts below. What do you think about the fate of these notorious figures? Which moment struck you the most? We'll see you in the next video.